Hello lovely ones, Debs K here. Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to my little studio today. Okay, so following on from our last sort of video, when we made some copper verdigris texture and things, I thought we'd do this gorgeous image here of some hidden secrets in a subtropical climate of Spanish moss and these beautiful azaleas. So we're doing that this week. So the very first thing, let's get going, let's get painting. And the very first thing I did was turn my reference photo into grayscale, or desaturated it, and then did this very rough sort of sketch here, which I've done in a vine charcoal. And then the first thing you're going to see me do is come in with a bit of alcohol spray and spray that all down. Okay, so on whizzing that, as I'm sort of going on, I'll just sort of mention here as the video is running or whatever, I let obviously my alcohol dry, and I'm just now going in with a very, very dark green and looking at all those really dark places in this image. Now I've got the image back in colour there for you, so you can see it in all of its splendour and see how I'm building up these colours. So whilst that's running, I'll sort of say it's only a small little painting I've done this week, 10 inches by 7 inches, and this is on Luxe Archival. Now this would have been a good painting to do on a toned paper. So if you've got like a dark grey or an anthracite, or something, even a deep dark burgundy would be lovely under this. So if you've got sort of say for example a pastel matte and you've got some colours there, any of those colours would really work well. Obviously, as you put colours down, it's not going to be as you're seeing it me there, because when you put a color down next to a dark color, it appears very different than if you put it on a light color. But you kind of have to find your balance of your colors if you're working on a colored surface. But I do actually think it would work really well on here. But I didn't have any at the time, so I've done this on Luxe Archival, and I used Luxe Archival, which gives me that nice sanded grain, and I know it's either Luxe Archival or a sanded paper or a pastel matte. As I say, building on from last week, we want to build up the layers in here. This is a painting of many layers, just in looking at it, and we want to try and create that depth going on. So it's going to take a few layers. It's going to take some spraying down, and I also added a little bit of gesso at the end. Really wanted to try and capture the light in this scene. As always, I sort of, when I look at the photo reference, I always ask myself, what is it that captures me? Well, in this painting, pretty much everything really, but I just loved the way it's sort of that lovely Spanish moss was just dripping down, and these beautiful azaleas, and obviously the light peeping through, so it was just such a little magical hidden scene, unexpected, so I really wanted to capture that and the vivid colours, and sort of also I wanted to try and use the texture and the gesso and things to see if we can create a little bit more of those, where the moss is hanging down and it all kinks off in different directions, but it's very delicate down there. So when I started this painting originally, I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to achieve the look I was wanting from it, and in actual fact, I when I started this painting, I then left it for a few weeks, and it was actually really great because I did that tutorial last week on sort of building up textures and things, and I thought that's what I can do with it, because up until then, until we'd sort of played with those textures, I'd never considered using alcohol so late in the painting, and also using watercolor so late in the painting. I didn't sort of ever consider that, and then after we did that exercise last week, it sort of like triggered me, and I thought, of course, why not? Why don't I try that? And then I'll point out in the video where I left it, and point out, obviously then you can see me coming back in with the gesso and the watercolors there to just give it that little bit of extra sparkle and a little bit of extra texture. So as I say, it's always playtime is always worth it. It's suddenly you think, that's how I can tackle that. And often it's not so much that you don't know it, maybe you've tried it before or whatever, but often as you get painting, you kind of forget little tricks and techniques that you've learned along the way. And, you sort of, they just kind of go to the back of your memory banks, and sometimes by having a play, you sort of think, oh gosh, of course, that's how I did that. You can get yourself into a bit of a repetitive groove. So, as I say, I hope you enjoyed playtime last week, and I hope you had a go. And if you did do it, it certainly will stand you in good stead for this painting that we're doing today. So busy chattering on there, I best actually catch up with what I've been doing on the painting. Okay, so basically I went in and did all of my base layers. Just gave myself, the values really of what I wanted. So you saw me coming in with those dark greens, coming up the value scale, using cooler colours further back, and the warmer greens sort of towards the front. Once I did that, I wanted to give myself an idea of where these azaleas were. So popped a nice dark burgundy in there, just so that I know where they are, and then I popped a little bit more red in there. So really just sort of mapping out what was going on underneath. You then saw me come in with my trusty pipe foam insulation and rub that all in, and to give myself a soft out of focus background. I then came in with my alcohol spray, gave that a quick spray down, let that dry, and I'm currently in the process of going around again, adding another layer and a few more colours in there, getting a little bit more warmth in those tans and things. So I'll let you watch this, and I'll see you in a mo. So as you can see, I've been using lots of really light layers. You know, my touch is ever so light as I'm doing that. And I've been going backwards and forwards, trying to build up that depth, trying to, you know, give the feeling that it's kind of a three-dimensional scene. And, you know, now just coming in and adding some details, getting some more of those lovely flowers in. Now at this stage, this is a stage sort of like I was at the painting and I thought I was going to continue as I was. And then, you know, as I say, after having done that, done that playtime, I thought, you know, I'm not quite getting the feeling that I'm wanting from this. So basically I decided to, you know, I'd left it for a couple of weeks and I came back and thought, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to try some of those techniques. So I left it for a couple of weeks and you're just seeing me now coming back into the painting and spraying alcohol all over it and watching all that detail I did run away with me. But you know, I wanted to be brave. I wanted to give it another go. And, you know, I know that I can come back in and build up that detail. Obviously, as you saw, you know, I was going backwards and forwards. And obviously, you know, the pastel is starting to build up on the paper. And even though it's a sanded paper, you kind of get to a stage and I was getting a little bit more smeary and then it becomes more awkward to do those details. And so once I let that alcohol dry, basically now you're seeing me coming in with those sparkly watercolours that we tested out in the verdigris. I've got a nice goldy colour and a nice bronzy colour in there. Just wanted to add that little bit of extra sparkle. And as you can see, using a fan brush, trying to create a little bit of texture in places and you know, just sort of building it up. Now, once I've kind of gone round with, you know, with this, with my watercolour there, which I can do because of course everything else is set underneath. I'm now coming in, let that dry again, make sure that was you know, nice and dry, and then now I'm coming in with some liquid gesso. Again, we tried this last week and I'm again putting this in areas where I want to build up the textures. So came in with that again, let that dry and do make sure that that's dry before you come in with your pastels. It goes on this creamy white and then it does dry almost cleared. It's a little bit milky in places, but it's almost clear. But obviously where you've put the gesso on, when you go back in with your pastels over the top, as you can see, it just catches in certain areas. And this is going to help us sort of, you know, sort of get those more delicate marks, which is of this Spanish moss, which is what I really wanted to capture in this. And so now obviously you're seeing me going round sort of putting all that detail back in that I lost. I do quite a detailed version of this painting, and obviously it's always up to you, you know, how far you want to take any painting, you know, but hopefully this will stand you in good stead if you want to have a go. And if you want to build up a detailed painting with lots of layers as I have, then this is how I went about it on this one. So I hope you're enjoying the video, and I hope you're learning something along the way. And obviously if you are, please do give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. And as I always say, obviously if you're interested in watching the slowed down version of this particular video demo, where I take you through in slow, you know, much slower speed and explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, then please do consider come and join me over on Patreon. I'd love to see you over there. It's only a small monthly subscription which you can stop at any time. So if in fact I've got this video and quite a few others on there now, so please do consider coming and join me over there. But for my loyal YouTubers, thank you so much for your support already, and as I say, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It'll help me share this video with more people. Okay then, so I'll let you watch me sort of come round. Basically really what I'm doing is building back up those layers, but obviously I've got that nice background that I can now work upon to build up that detail. Okay then, so I'll pop the music back on and I'll see you in a mo. So as you can see, you know, it's starting to come together now. We're getting we're getting that lovely depth in there. Obviously, as you know, if you've been noticing, my marks are super, super light. I'm not doing anything too heavy. Really want to get that delicate feeling. Remember, that was one of the things I wanted to capture is, you know, in amongst all of this foliage, you've got this lovely, delicate Spanish moss hanging there. And so now it's got to the point that I'm pretty happy with the colours and things that are going on in general at the back. Pretty happy with what's going on, and now I want to really want to introduce that light and get that vibrancy in those flowers, and you know, sort of like in the where the sunshine's coming through, and some of those, you know, you're picking up all those little yellows and greens and things. So I'm going to be carrying on working on the details, but really concentrating in this next section of sort of refining and sort of making sure that the light's coming in and catching. So we've got some nice little bright spots there to keep us, you know, to lead us around the painting and take us through these azaleas and sort of up through to the, you know, where that light's coming through that lovely Spanish moss. You know, but at this stage, you know, I'm really pretty happy, you know, doing those extras of wetting it down again with the alcohol and, you know, doing the watercolor and the gesso there. It's allowing me to come back in and add these little details here without getting too mucky, you know, because that pastel set in the paper, that's given me the opportunity, you know, I don't have to worry about it smearing, and, you know, I can get those finer details going. So it was well worth doing, and I feel that the painting is significantly better than it was going to be had I not gone through this process. So, you know, even though a little painting, you know, as with me, it makes no difference whether it's a little or a big one. I still like to take my time and build it up softly and gently. So, as I say, on the final leg now of these final finishing details, adding the light and you know, just all those final little bits that finish it off really. And obviously, as always, it's up to you, you know, just how far you want to take it. And, you know, what I do encourage you to do when you're doing these final details is to take little breaks in between, because it's very easy to get too fussy. It's quite a busy painting, and it is quite you know, it is a little bit fussy. There's lots going on there, but you know, you want to try and keep I guess not get it too twee, I think maybe is the word, or too prissy. You kind of want to still make it feel natural, but as I say, want to try and get that the delicateness and the light coming through, and, you know, just taking it step by step and just going slowly through these layers. You know, you'll get there, but it will take you some time if you want to take it to the level that I have done. But obviously, you can stop far sooner. And, you know, you could well do the painting as it was and carry on. You know, without wetting it down again. But I felt certainly on this painting, it had so many layers on it. I felt that, you know, setting it into that paper really did help me, especially on this sort of like finishing section here. I was able not to create mud and not for it to get too slippy and slidey with the pastel underneath, because it's set in there. So I think we're just about there now. I've added as much detail as I want to, and I'm pretty happy with the final painting. Okay, so thanks so much for spending some of your time with me. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video, and obviously if you've got any questions, I'm always happy to answer them. Thanks again. I wish you a lovely week and happy painting.